Hello, welcome back to another exciting episode of Digital Data Podcast. Thank you so much for always joining us in this journey. And our series is still going on, where we talk to women politicians who vied for last year's election. We want them to tell us the experience, what they went through, what they would do differently, and also how they use the digital platform to enhance their agenda, how they were able to deal with the issue of online violence, because literally all of them went through the issue of online violence. So I'm Cecilia Maundu. I'm a broadcast journalist. I'm a digital security trainer. I work at the intersection of technology, human rights, and journalism with a focus on countering online abuse against women. And this episode has been made possible by an organization called Siasa Place. Siasa Place promotes people's participation in democratic processes through research, trainings, civic education, networking, and strategic partnership. They are very big in this political space, democratic space. And I always say it's a one-stop shop to learn about what's happening in politics in this country. Well, without further ado, let me introduce my beautiful guest, or let me allow her to introduce herself and to tell her about her experience.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Hello, viewers. My name is Alice Wangari. I contested for Kiambu senatorial position in last year's general elections on a Tujibebe wa Kenya Party ticket, which is an affiliate of Kenya Kwanza coalition, which is the ruling coalition. I am a lawyer by training and profession, as well as an international dispute resolution expert.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
My learned friend.
Yes,
So
your learned friend.
So tell us. Well, we know your career already is a motivation to run for politics.
Right.
But tell us, what gave you the motivation to run for politics, and especially in such a county like where you ran? We know it's first of all, it's a big county.
Yes.
Very competitive, and also for the seat that you ran for.
Right. So my story dates back to 2021, when we had the Kiamba by-elections, which I was extensively involved in. At that time, I was contracted by the Jubilee Party, and we were supporting the then candidate, who was Kariri Njama, and sadly, he lost by a very slim margin. But then that was almost like a launching pad for myself, because I spent that time to familiarize myself with the challenges that are bedeviling Kiamba constituency, which I believe to a large extent were similar challenges that were mirroring to the extent of the larger Kiambu County. And therefore, I could not help but identify issues like alcoholism and drug abuse, issues of period poverty, issues of an influx of children born with disabilities, an influx of gender-based violence, unemployment, a lot of intergenerational wars, which of course transcend into succession. And therefore, there was just a myriad of issues that I identified with. And of course, those really, came into focus because the major assignment that I had as at then was to campaign and reach out to the youth, especially the youth constituency. And you remember that is the time that there was a massive rebellion or revolt from the mountain against the administration. And therefore, we really did a lot of work to try and, minimize the gap from the youth who had already pledged allegiance to the UDA party. And so we had an uphill task to, try and convince them retrogressively to consider the Jubilee candidate, which work we did to our level best. And the votes that Kariri got, we believe that a majority of them were from the youth. So from there, when the by-elections were over, of course, I had 2 weeks to mourn. And then after that, I got my boots on and I decided to move into progress. And then now I started, visiting constituency to constituency, holding, round table talks with the community leaders, the women leaders, the elders, the youth leaders, the church leaders. And therefore, they had to explain to me what maybe are their challenges there.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I like this issue, talk of youth, because we know, Kenya is a youthful population. Literally, Africa is the youngest continent and has a lot of youthful population. Well, speaking for myself, I'm no longer a youth. I'm just young at heart.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what is the biggest desire that you have for the youth that really would have been your first mandate to do? And also, before you answer that question, a lot of people don't know the mandate of Senate. Can you just give us a snippet? Educate us a bit.
Right. This is something that I used to use, as a preamble to my introduction when I would meet the people during my campaigns, because I noted that previously people were denied the opportunity to learn the role of a senator in any county with regards to devolution, politics, and development. And therefore, I used to tell people that the senator is the number one advocate for devolution in any county. So they also act as a mediator between the county government and the national government on matters of development and monies that are given by the government, which is called the Equalization Fund. So when the national government delays or experiences some hitches in supporting the county government, it's upon the senator to, follow up on the same and pressure the government, as well as also oversight the activities of the county government to ensure that they are of integrity, they are within public interest, and they are inclusive of all the special interest groups in any particular county. And therefore, by large, the senator is the oversight, is the defender of devolution and progress in any county government. Going back to your question about the youth, I identify myself as a youth. I am now 31. I just turned 31, last month.
Wow.
Therefore, I'm still within the youth bracket. And for me, I think that it was very good for me to, launch myself into politics within the youthful age, because even if I did not clinch the seat, I have time now to sharpen myself, to learn from my failures, and to strategize moving forward on what I can do better, maybe to clinch the seat and even support development. And therefore, one of my motivations and one of my desires for the youth mainly was for them to, enhance their literacy skills. It would interest you to note that there's a report by UN Women as well as UNESCO that says that one of the impediments for, women's disability to make rightful electoral decisions is their lack of literacy, or their limited or challenged literacy levels. So literacy is one of the things that I was really advocating for in my campaign, whereby I would have desired that, there be some kind of, book donations and some kind of motivation to the young learners. Because again, another challenge that I identified with the learners in Kiambu is that they have challenge when it comes to expressing themselves, whether in English or Kiswahili. Their libraries are under-equipped, and once you are challenged in communication, that means that you're also challenged as a leader, because a leader uses their throat, they use their language, they use their words to communicate, to advocate, and also, to seek partnership and mandate from the people. And I have since then, engaged, donors and partners and policymakers from abroad, like Washington, D.C., where I visited in March this year. And I asked them to, engage the youth in supporting the enterprise, as well as giving scholarships and training so that they can improve on their literacy skills.
Wow.
Yes.
The youth in Kiambu County is very lucky to have you. So to my question, a county like Kiambu,
Yes.
we know it's quite
Extensive.
intense. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about your campaign strategy.
Well. What would I say? Okay, let me give you just a short story. So initially, my desire was to contest for woman representative, which I did for 9 straight months.
9 straight months.
Yes,
Wow.
I branded myself and campaigned as a woman representative. And then, when you don't own a party, you are at the mercy of
Party politics.
Yes, you are at the mercy of who says what in whatsoever political party.
But let me ask you,
Yes.
there are no structures in the party.
Structures are there, but I keep saying this time without number that our political parties are beholden to one or just a group of individuals who call the shots, and we are at the mercy of them. And it's even more unfortunate when you're a woman and you hold no position of influence in that political party. So that means you are more beholden to them. And so when they snap, you jump. Right? So
Yes.
I branded myself and contested as a woman representative for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
I was everywhere on the media stations in Noro. I would appear there without fail. And so people identified with me as a woman representative. And why is that? Because I strongly believe, I am convinced, and it is a gospel I will continue peddling, that the position of a woman representative, being a position of affirmative action,
yes,
is supposed to be a preserve for a young woman, because I see it as an entry position into politics. See this, the single member constituency position, which is an MP, senatorial and gubernatorial positions, presidential, all those are infiltrated with masculine candidates, male candidates. And therefore, women find it increasingly difficult to compete with these men. For
the men make it very difficult for the
historical,
women
cultural, social, political, economic challenges. And therefore, the thinking, the philosophy, and the jurisprudence behind the establishment of the position of the woman representative was, to give mileage to a young woman who's trying to make entry into politics. Mm-hmm. And it is the same policy that influenced the rules and the Jubilee Party, where I began my politics from. And they said that women who had begun their political career in the position of woman representative were allowed to contest for only 2 terms, after which they were supposed to, by party rules, surrender that position and move to a single member constituency, position, that is MP or maybe senatorial or gubernatorial. And that's why you saw people like Gladys Wanga, who is in ODM. ODM was a partner party to Jubilee in Azimio,
yes,
La Umoja. They transcended into gubernatorial. Sabina Chege did 2 terms in Muranga as woman representative. And so now she went to parliament as a nominated member. So that was a thinking behind, that position, that it was supposed to be, a position that is supposed to be like an entry level for young women. And you can see there are young women who are doing amazing things with it, like Jane Jerry Maina, the current woman rep of Kirinyaga County. She's doing her best to redefine the position of the woman representative. She is a young woman, she is a youth, and that now qualifies my position as to why it is supposed to be a position for young women. And this is actually one of the, that philosophy and that thinking is actually what earned me a position at this year's, Women's Day conference in Washington, D.C. that was organized by the Republican Party in conjunction with the state office for women's rights and human rights in Washington, D.C.
So how do we move from women rep to Senate?
Right. So what happened after I marketed myself and I literally sold myself out as a woman representative. there was communication from the party that there was a more popular candidate. And so she was given the certificate. It was heart-rending for me. I spent 1 month into mourning. Literally, I never left my house because I just couldn't believe how I had put my all. I had redefined that position. I had looked at it from a dichotomized aspect whereby, there's a difference, a social difference between older women and younger women in politics out of economic, political, and social considerations, as well as cultural considerations. But all that fell into deaf ears. And that's why I say sometimes that political parties need to approach issues from a professional angle, because it is from a political party aspect that policies are born. Policies that influence the governance of a country.
It's true.
Yes. And so they should not just look at things from, who is popular, but they don't understand. Because then you now perpetually put people in a state of stagnation when you put in a candidate who does not understand the mandate of their work. All these positions are constitutionally mandated. That means that any candidate who seeks for whatever position, they need to have a very good and extensive understanding, both legal, political, and jurisprudential understanding of their positions. Fast forward, so I mourned for 1 month. Then after that, I picked myself up and I was just gearing myself to go back into employment. And so a time came and I was in Malindi. I was doing a postmortem kind of conference for the youth who had engaged in a nomination process. And so they were giving us feedback about, their experiences. And so I received a call from our party's chairperson, and he told me that word has come from the party leadership that you should jet back to Nairobi immediately in less than 24 hours and submit your papers for Senate to IEBC. So I caught the next flight to Nairobi, and I submitted my papers to IEBC, and I was cleared for Senate. That time, it was around June. Yeah, so I had almost less than 2 months.
To campaign.
Yes, to rebrand myself and to campaign for senator. But, I just said now I just have to ride with the flow. And so, I quickly transitioned. I had to quickly research on the role of a senator. And of course, me having a legal background, it was a bit easier. So I could understand. And I am proud to say that among all the 8 senatorial candidates, I am the only one who used to explain to people extensively what the role of a senator entails. And so from that, I'm happy to announce that I emerged position 3, what with the limited time
that you had.
Yes, ask not about the votes. They were good enough just to convince and for starters, but I am happy about my achievements so far.
Wow.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Alice, let's talk about finances.
Mm-hmm.
How did you manage to be able to fundraise for your campaigns? Because we know you can't campaign without money.
Yes.
And the youth, like yourself, are watching and they want to give them snippets or advice, tips on how they can fundraise.
Okay, so for me, it was mainly simple. Of course, being my introduction to politics, not many people knew me, and therefore my networks were limited. So I mainly relied on family and friends and other well-wishers who supported me. We, every month we used to do a fundraiser at home, and my family, my friends, they never got tired of me. So they would come, they would support me. And even fellow youth would surprisingly support me in either by cash or kind. You would find somebody who is, volunteering to do posters for you. Another person volunteers to do lessons for you. Another one volunteers to do the billboards and the mini billboards. Yeah. And so little by little, it helped me. Also, I must say that Royal Media Services in particular was very kind towards supporting my candidature. And therefore, from time to time, they would give me platforms on their, Inoro TV,
And
Inoro
they have a
FM.
large audience.
Yes, Inoro FM, Inoro TV, Hot 96 FM. And so there I would, I would have a platform to educate people about my candidature. What am I about? And so, those are some of the things that really helped me. We must not look at, amassing campaign capital from the angle of money. People can support you on very many ways. Sometimes I would get goodwill even from newspapers. There's one time just after nominations that Nation newspaper actually, published an article about myself and the biases that I experienced as a young woman trying to contest. Yeah. And of course, podcasts like yours here. So, so people must not only look at political capital from a monetary angle, it can also be in kind, and that goes a long way.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I personally had not thought of it in that way.
Yeah.
So you being a youth, and we know the digital platform is such a big deal.
Yes.
How did you use the digital platform to, especially the 2 months, leave alone the 9 months which went under the water, but nothing goes under the water.
Yeah.
The people who would have voted for you also voted for you for Senate.
Yes.
So how did you use the digital platform to campaign?
Luckily, the people who supported me when I was doing Woman Rep, they still supported me when I was doing Senate. And so I had a team of bloggers, majority of whom did the work from a volunteer perspective. They never expected anything from me. They supported me from the angle of, this is a youth with vision and we must stand with her unconditionally. And I still thank them up to date, because those are people who are understanding, and they knew that for us to change the narrative about youth engagement in leadership, we must do it from the heart. It has to be an internal calling. It must transcend any economic interests. It must transcend any sectarian interests. And so people supported me. Word went round. My mother was very, instrumental, especially because she's very vocal in the women groups, in church and at home. She used to campaign for me even in matatus. And by the way, matatu people, big up to them. They really supported me big time, especially Lofa Circle, which plies the whole Thika Road route. From Githurai to Kahawa to Ruiru to Juja to Thika. They were really instrumental. They supported me unconditionally again. So I received massive support from people. They allowed me to have stickers on their matatus. Churches gave me platforms to, speak to people. Yes. And so I received goodwill from people from across across the board. But I must also say that social media had its own challenges, because I am a victim of social media stalking.
Yeah, online violence.
Yes. So I remember towards the end of the campaigns, I would, post that we have visited a certain area, and then our competitors would come to the very same area the following day and come in and do everything we have spoken to the people about, everything we have taught the people. They would come and rubbish us. Yes. So, and even beyond elections, I found myself still a victim of cyber stalking. When I went to Washington, D.C., one of the elected female leaders in my county was attending a function in New York. But when word reached her that I was in Washington, D.C., she went to the embassy, the Kenyan embassy in Washington, D.C., just to track and be told what I had come to do in Washington, D.C. You can imagine. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that is it. And it's criminal.
Yeah.
Stalking somebody is very criminal. Yes. So those are some of the things we face. I don't know for what need, because for me, I lost the elections and I have never taken it against anybody. I decided to move forward with my work of advocacy. And therefore it shouldn't be anybody's business to find out what I am doing, because I am doing it for public interest.
But also you look like a very promising young politician.
Promising, I am.
Yes.
But you see, I should never dim my light in fear of anybody or anything.
And that's why you should also be like you threaten them. You can't just stalk someone or follow someone up. It's somebody who has seen so much potential in you. So it's you to know how to be able to handle your social media in a way you don't expose too much information, because you're in the public eye and you are a politician.
Right.
So you'll always be interacting, especially with the youth on the digital platform. So what are some of the habits that you can be able to embrace to be able to protect yourself? So right now that you are not so much in the public domain, you don't have to reveal where you are. You can post. We say don't post in real time. And also just being things like your accounts, your passwords. Don't share your passwords. Create strong passwords, especially for those accounts that you use every day. Don't ever share them even with your PA. So another thing that I would want to come to, what are some of the things that you would do differently next time?
One is being in the right party. I noted,
party
it's
is a big
supposed to.
thing.
Yes. I know it's eliciting a lot of laughter from you, but it's a lesson I had learned. Yeah. So, for me, I think I just underrated myself. And so I went to a startup party and now I am paying the price. So next time, I will be in a big party that has a big say in my region. Because
what
I
if
noted,
they do the same thing to you?
No, let me tell you, what I have also come to learn, it is better to be washed in a big party than to be washed
in a small party.
in a startup party, Yeah. So because in a big party, everybody is equal. I mean, you can go to the party leader and say, boss, I've been washed, so what's up for me? But in a startup party, you guys get washed, but at least the party leader will be salvaged. They might be rewarded and given something, but you guys who are following, at the periphery, what's in for you? You see, you've already spent money, you have your own brand, you have what? So nobody is going to remember you.
So party is very key.
Yes. And I also noted that the political psyche of our people, especially in Kiambu, is that they angle much towards, a big political party, because they live in real-time fear of, being edged out of politics, being edged out of government. They always want to be like the opinion shapers. They want to be the political compass of Mount Kenya and largely the national politics. And so when you go by that psyche, you just have to play by their rules. Yeah, so it's best to be in a major political party. So when you're washed there, you can redeem yourself. Yeah, you can wash off the soap, and then you just move on. and by the way, besides getting appointments, you get opportunities for other things.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So what advice do you have for this young lady across Kenya, or even across the border, who wants to get into politics, and what are some of the key advices you'd give from your experience?
Right. So one of the advice I would tell young women who are seeking to join politics, one, is that know yourself, be led by passion. Do not be led by quick gains, because we say easy come, easy go. Get into politics with personal principles. Stand by your principles, no matter what they say. Be yourself. Be authentic to yourself. Because right now, the challenge that we are facing as women in politics is the deficiency of integrity in politics. And so what I tell women is that your integrity is your currency. Your physical, your emotional integrity, it goes a long way in the long run. You may not get what you are seeking right now, but in future, your currency will speak for you. And suffice to say that our integrity goes a long way, and don't look at it just from like a national perspective. Look at it from even a global perspective. For me, I say that it was a great privilege for me to be sought after by people from U.S. State Department. It's a great honor. And for me, I believe that I got there out of, my integrity, and of course, my my allegiance towards the women movement. Yeah. So right now we are doing great things with them. We are helping them to redefine, their terms of engagement in terms of foreign aid towards, Africa and other related state members who actually seek aid with them. And so there's a lot that we are doing even to revolutionize leadership for women and young girls, especially in Africa. There's also something now we are doing, which is called the implementation of the Global Fragility Act. And I am in the front line of advocating and lobbying for Kenya to be admitted as one of the pioneer partner states, because right now they're only looking at Mozambique, they're looking at Haiti, they're looking at Papua New Guinea, and they're looking at Libya. So one
What
of
do
the
they
things
advocate for?
It's mainly for economic partnership in those countries, and you see all of those are coastal countries, and so Kenya also has an active coastline. So the American government is seeking a partnership with those countries as a way of also entrenching security, national security. And national security actually means that eradication of terrorism and radicalization, as well as entrenchment of human rights, which involve women rights. And when we talk about terrorism, women are the biggest victims of terrorism. Yeah, because terrorism involves a lot of radical energy and radical, acts that dehumanize and victimize women. You can see from the acts of Boko Haram, you can see from the acts of the Taliban in Afghanistan, and just how much they have given blackout to women's rights. And therefore, any country that is within the coastline and is actively, susceptible to terror attacks. In Kenya, we are struggling with Al-Shabaab. Therefore, that means that such country is at risk of, such terror groups invading and infringing on the rights of women and girls.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
We always say we are standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before us.
Right.
Talk to me about support and mentorship.
Yeah, I have been mentored by a couple of women, some in politics and some not in politics. And I am grateful for the opportunity that they gave me to showcase my talent. And, they continue holding my hand each and every day. They believe in me. And, they keep encouraging me even when I least believe in myself. And so to such women, I say thank you.
And what is your plan on mentoring the next generation of young women like yourself?
So I am a fellow at the International Republican Institute, which is US based. And so we have a Kenyan office, Kenyan chapter. And so one of the programs we run is about mentoring upcoming youth leaders. And so I use that platform to mentor other youth who are in the coming cohorts, especially into leadership and policy formulation. Also from the ground level, I also mentor young women who look up to me. For leadership nuggets, and also, for just personal branding nuggets. And so I think by and large, mentoring for me is an everyday thing. I must also say that continuously, my brand has not stopped operating. I am still engaging in a lot of civic education, especially on the media platform, traditional media platform. So from time to time, I get opportunities on Inoro FM and Inoro TV, and currently I'm teaching people about the Sexual Offences Act.
Okay.
Yes, and what passes for sexual offences and what does not. Because right now, we're living in the age of, a lot of cyber presence. And so with cyber presence, anything goes. And especially women, they become victim to a lot of sexual harassment and sexual violation on those sites. And some of them actually, they acquiesce into that without knowing what their rights are. Yes. And so one of the things that I am doing is to teach women on how to protect and assert their dignity even as they engage online.
Impressive.
Thank you.
As we come to a close, what are your final thoughts, and also what are you doing with some of your colleagues who didn't make it to to parliament and to different seats, regardless of their party, collaboration, and also one word for party. These parties you run with, what can they do differently? Because we need to talk about those things.
Yeah. So what do I do with other women who did not make it like myself? Well, we have formed a caucus, so we meet regularly, and the caucus is not limited. So we have women from across the country and women with, of various interests. There are women living with disabilities, women from minority communities. And so we just look for ways that we can influence policies in our respective county governments, how we can influence policies in national government. I also use my voice within civil society to ensure that some of the policies, and we write memoranda, even to National Assembly, and that is how we engage. So about political parties, what I would really say is that the remaining watchdog for political parties is the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. That is where the buck stops. So if we have an empowered Office of the Registrar of Political Parties that can entrench discipline and integrity in political parties, then we would be at a position where we talk about political sanity in our country. Because, as I said, the incubation level for any budding politician, any budding, governance policies are the political parties, because political parties come up with manifestos. You saw in UDA, the UDA manifesto, our president is very much keen on implementing it. And that is why, by extension, you find that Secretary General Malala sits in cabinet to ensure that the policies that are formulated, they are in tandem with the plan, which is the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. And therefore, if the manifestos are supposed to be, inclusive, and they're supposed to be development-oriented, then first of all, we need to have discipline in our political parties. Let women be given equal chance at leadership in political parties. And this nonsense of political parties being capital-intensive, capital-intensive in terms of finance, that needs to stop. Because it's not only money that rules this country. There's so many young people out here who I meet who have glowing ideas, progressive ideas, but because they don't have money, they are eclipsed from the decider's position, the decider's tables. You see, so that nonsense needs to stop. Let people be embraced as they are. Money comes and goes, but ideas are perpetual. Yes.
Kiambu is lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for honoring our invite.
Asante.
I don't know if you have any message for the woman in Kiambu who you'll be representing in 2027.
Women from Kiambu. We're still together. We'll still continue working together. I will help where I can in terms of lobbying and advocacy. And let's meet again in 2027. Yes, I hope by then, people will have been more, politically savvy. They will know what they want and they will go for it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we will call you back in 2028 and we will.
I think we need to start this partnership going forward now on a continuous basis.
Yes.
We need to have, a continuous story that we can keep telling people. So yeah, I'm available when you call me.
Asante, Alice. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
So I don't think I have anything to add. See you in the next episode.